You know who another guy that always brings a smile to my face is Natey Adjei. He's always smiling. We can't see him today because he's on the phone from the GTA, Southern Ontario. Argos, I don't know what we call him. Scat back, all-purpose Swiss Army knife. How you doing, Natey?
I'm doing great, and I am smiling on the phone. I know you can't see me, but I am currently smiling, and I will gladly take all those titles.
Yeah, just call me something, right? Natey, first of all, the season's been canceled now. Were you one of the guys, because I've talked to several, that were somewhat shocked by that news a week ago Monday because they all thought that they were going to play?
I have to say I was not shocked by the news. As you know, I've gone to the podcast game, the media game, and when you get into the game, you kind of get inside sources. So I stole one of your sources, Justin Dunk, and I had been in contact with him on a regular basis, and he was giving me all his insights and what he thought was going to happen. And I didn't think there was going to be a season, and the whole time he was not very, very, very low on the possibility of there being a season for a variety of reasons, and he let me know. So I was not shocked. I actually expected it.
By the way, Argo fans are writing into the program here. Argos. I tell you what, you're hearing from a lot of Argos fans that are missing this season. What's it like, by the way, to play for your hometown team, Natey? I mean, the Argos get banged on, but their fan base gets a rough ride. They love their team. I think it's almost unfair, the criticism of Argo fans.
Honestly, I would say this. Argo fans are probably some of the best fans in the nation. It's just the numbers aren't quite where it is. So if you take your, let's say, 10,000 most loyal Saskatchewan Roughrider fans and compare them to the 10,000 most loyal Argo fans, they're the same. But where the problem comes is the depth. We don't have a lot of depth in Southern Ontario just because there's so many things to do. But the most loyal, I'll put them up against any fan base.
Well, we're hopefully growing those numbers when the CFL comes back. I got so many things to get to with you. I guess, first of all, I'm dealing with a lot of players right now, Natey, that with the season cancellation, they're struggling. They know nothing else but football. Coaches, I would put in that category. It's been their whole life. You've got a few other things on the go. How are you dealing with this and your teammates? Everybody's going to get through it. They don't have a choice. But what's your suggestion to guys that are struggling right now?
Yeah, like you said, it is a tough time, and right now, I'm in a group chat with about 10 other CFL veterans, and the thing about this, the way the CFL handled this situation, it gave guys a lot of time to start looking at other things. The fact that we didn't have a lot of communication with the league, guys started saying, "Hey, I don't know what's going on with my employer. Let me go look elsewhere." So, it was bad that we didn't have a lot of communication, but on the bright side, it allowed guys to kind of look elsewhere and think about other passions and hobbies that they have. Like, I've seen a lot of guys start drawing. I've seen like a few guys like Shaq Johnson. He's rapping. I'm doing a podcast. Other guys are doing different things that highlight their best attributes outside of football, and it's going to force guys to look at those other avenues and be better off once they retire. There are a few guys that are struggling, and I'm hoping the news of the CFL working the queues with the government will help some guys out. But I think, it's unfortunate that we don't have a season. But you look at the lives of pro football players, the careers are not very long. So if you have a break right now to kind of assess where you're at, kind of see, hey, if football ended, what would I do? Now a lot of guys have that opportunity forced upon them. And once their careers do end, they'll be better off for it, I feel.
Well, I tell you what, with your podcast, by the way, I know you're having a ball with it. You're doing such a great job just with the promotion of it and the graphics and everything, not to mention the content. I hope you're going to continue this through the pause, because the CFL is going to be looking at 18 months between games. Best case scenario, Natey. So is your plan to continue this through the break?
My plan was actually to do it during the season, and it was going to be like almost an Argos-focused one where I'd interview guys on the team. But I'm having, like you said, I'm having such a blast that I continue to do this maybe for the rest of my life. It's so fun. You didn't tell me this media game was so fun, man. So, yeah, I plan to do this for a while. There's a lot of content that needs to be brought out, a lot of players with interesting stories that fans don't know about, and I plan to, bring all those out. There's, we have 9 teams, over 60 guys per team, so there's a lot of guys to get through, and it's one episode per week, so I think I got CFL fans covered.
Well, give it a promo, by the way. Where can folks find it right now before we move on? What's the best commercial for it?
All Ball Podcast. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, Google. It gives you an inside look into the professional athletes' lives. I ask them all sorts of questions, not just how did you get 10 catches? No, I'm going to ask them what they have for breakfast, who they're dating, what kind of inside stuff they like to do. Trash talking is a big of what guys are saying out on that field. So it gives you a whole inside look into the lives of professional athletes and just cool people around the world.
All Ball Podcast. Find it on Instagram. Natey's on Twitter himself. It's not that hard to find All Ball Podcast, and it is fun. But I got to ask you this. At one time, the most Argos that in my time in the CFL was 16 from the GTA. There's quite a few on this year's Argos, including Dejan Brissett, yourself. Dejan was the second overall pick. How much do you think that'll affect the popularity of the Argos when it comes back, having those local guys and stars, by the way, Natey?
Yeah, I think it'll be huge because, growing up, I always was looking at guys like Adjei, and I knew he's from the same city as me, Mississauga, and that was a huge factor in me continuing to play football, and he was a huge inspiration for me. I think it's going to have the same effect, and I've always been clamoring for this to say that, Argos, we have so many guys from the GTA in the CFL. Why don't you bring them home, have more people trying to attend games because you got obviously fans, friends, family, and and everybody in that circle trying to come to games. I think that's a simple way to improve the fan base and get more people interested. But then also, like you said, we have some stars and things like Juwan Briskason. Like he's coming from Calgary. He's a star in this league, and he's going to do big things. But the thing I look at is me, Juwan, and Dejan all grew up within 10 minutes of each other in Mississauga, and now we're on the same professional football team playing the same position. I think it's fantastic what Pinball and John Murphy have done. I think it's a great strategy. It's something that we were all so incredibly excited to be a part of this year. It's unfortunate that we won't get to do it, but when we come back, I think it's going to be a great thing for this league to have so many local products putting on a double blue and representing this team. And I think it's going to be a way for the fans to kind of identify with us and kind of take the CFL to another level.
That is an unbelievable story. And by the way, I know obviously both Pinball and Murph well, and they've had success everywhere they go, and it's because of this. I mean, you wouldn't think it's thinking outside the box to put three area kids together on one team, would you? Would you think, Darren?
Yeah.
It's not rocket science, but these guys seem to have it figured out. By the way, Natey, I think we're down to under 20 days away from the kickoff to the NFL season. Who's your team, by the way, and what's your expectations for 2020 in the National Football League?
So my expectations is I want to see how they're going to pull this off because they're not in a bubble format. So my first thing I want to see a few games to see how this is going to work out because COVID it's hit everyone and it's bound to hit the NFL no matter how much money they have, and especially not being in a bubble. I'm interested to see how that worked out because that might be the model going forward. So that's my first takeaway. Second, I cheer for all my ex-teammates that are in the league: Bryant Mitchell, Brandon Zylstra, Duke Williams, all the guys right now playing in the NFL. Those are all my teams. Whatever team they're on, that's who I'm cheering for. I got one of my best friends, Chris Rossetti, works for the Dolphins. I cheer for them as well because we grew up together. So, and I want to see him do well. So those are my teams. Whatever teams my friends are on, that's the teams I'm cheering for. I'm hoping they have a season. They obviously have a lot of infrastructure, a lot of money to make it happen. But COVID doesn't care how much money you have.
No, that's a great point.
Wow.
They don't differentiate between stars and the 55th guy on the roster. COVID doesn't care. By the way, Natey, my last point here, because we're going to be bringing on Marc-Olivier Brulette, potentially the next commissioner of the CFL. Can you work this on your end, Natey? You mentioned Shaq Johnson getting into the hip-hop, working the beats. My suggestion, straight out of the 90s, is a CFL All-Star Jams hip-hop album featuring Deron Carter, Shaq Johnson, Don Jackson. Who else did we say?
Oh, man.
Kyran Moore has offered. He says he's working on serving up some beats on an album. Could you talk to your guys, and can we get this thing going?
Oh, my God. I heard you mention this the other day, and I thought it was a fantastic idea, especially with the CFL looking for content nowadays. How amazing would that be? Like, I honestly need to talk to Shaq and and Duran and actually get this going, because the CFL fans, like, we have nothing right now. Might as well get into the hip-hop game, show the guys off their talents, and that's the one thing I want the CFL to do a lot better, is showing off guys' talents. Like, we disappear for 6 months in the year, and guys throughout this COVID period, or you were realizing that guys are so talented in this league and can do more than just play football. So that is something that needs to happen. I'm going to try to work it on my end, try to do whatever I can, but we need to see that.
Please do it, and all proceeds to the CFL PA. Let's make it happen. Natey, stay safe. Always appreciate our visits, and keep it up with the All Ball podcast.
Thank you so much, Rod. I love your show. I love what you're doing. I'm looking up to you. So one day, hopefully, I'll get to your level, but I'm going to keep working. Thank you so much for having me on your show, man.
You're a great guy, Natey. Keep it up. Thanks for the kind words. Natey Adjei. And I didn't even bring up the CFL sim. He's one of the biggest stars of the CFL simulated season.
I know.
So very kind words from him. I appreciate him saying that.
Yeah.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.